They said the blind Alpha King could smell fear 3 kingdoms away. That he'd ruled in darkness for 15 years, his eyes milky white and sightless. Yet somehow he never missed a threat. They said he ate the tributes who displeased him. So when Alpha Kori smiled and chose Hannah, the wolfless disgrace, the girl too broken to shift, too worthless to mourn, she knew she was walking toward her death. The other tributes were strong, beautiful she-wolves with glossy coats and sharp claws. Hannah was nothing, invisible, the sacrifice no one would miss. The throne room was darker than she'd imagined. King Alaric sat perfectly still, those dead white eyes staring at nothing, his face carved from stone and shadow. Hannah kept her head down, waiting for judgment, for dismissal, for the dungeon everyone whispered about. Then she heard him breathe, sharp, shocked, desperate. Color. The word cracked through the silence like lightning. The king rose from his throne, moving toward her with impossible precision. No hesitation, no searching. His blind eyes locked on her face as if he could see. "I can see you," he whispered, close enough now that she could see the scars around his eyes, old magic burns that never healed. "After 15 years of darkness, you're the only thing in this world I can see." His hand lifted toward her cheek, trembling, not with threat, with wonder. And Hannah realized her death sentence had just become something far more dangerous. Destiny. Before we continue, what city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments, and if you'd like to support me, please subscribe and like this video. It's free and it helps more people hear these stories. Chapter 1. Hannah's knees had gone numb an hour ago. She didn't stop scrubbing. The packhouse floors were stone, ancient and unforgiving, worn smooth by generations of wolves who'd walked here with pride. Hannah knew every crack, every groove. She'd scrubbed them all 1,000 times. 23 years in Shadowpine Pack, and this was what she knew best. How to make herself small. How to work until her hands bled. How to be so quiet that sometimes she wondered if she was real at all. The hunting party returned just as she reached the entrance hall, their celebration loud and triumphant. Hannah pressed herself against the wall, bucket and brush clutched tight, waiting for them to pass. They didn't. Zariah came first, still in her wolf form, a gorgeous silver beast with ice-blue eyes that tracked Hannah with casual cruelty. The Luna shifted mid-stride, her transformation fluid and effortless, everything Hannah had never been able to do. Behind her, a dozen pack warriors did the same, their wolves melting away like they were shedding cloaks. Hannah had never shifted. Not once. Not even a flicker of transformation. "Still scrubbing, little mouse?" Zariah's voice was honey over poison. She crossed the entrance hall in 3 elegant strides, her bare feet tracking mud across Hannah's freshly cleaned floor. The others followed, laughing, deliberately stepping where Hannah had just scrubbed. Hannah said nothing. She'd learned years ago that words only made it worse. Zariah paused beside her, and Hannah knew what was coming. She always knew. The Luna's foot caught the water bucket, too precise to be an accident, too casual to be challenged, and sent it spilling across the stone in a dirty flood. "Oh, sorry." Zariah's smile was beautiful and sharp. "I forgot you were down there. You're so easy to miss." The pack warriors laughed. Hannah stared at the spreading water, her hour of work dissolving into muddy streaks, and felt nothing. Not anger. Not even humiliation. Just that familiar, dull ache of existing in a world that had decided she didn't matter. She waited until they'd gone upstairs to Alpha Corey's chambers before she started cleaning again. The sun had set by the time she finished. Hannah's back screamed as she carried the bucket to the washroom, her hands raw and cracked. She was so tired she could barely think, which was good. Thinking hurt worse than working. "Hannah!" The whisper came from the shadows near the kitchens. Weston emerged clutching a cloth bundle, his 12-year-old face split in a gap-toothed grin. Her little brother was all wild dark hair and skinny limbs, but he'd already started showing signs of his wolf. Sometimes his eyes flashed gold. Sometimes his hands sprouted claws he couldn't quite control yet. He would be strong someday. Nothing like her. "I saved you bread." He pressed the bundle into her hands. "And some of the venison from the hunt. The cook wasn't looking." Hannah's throat tightened. "West, if they catch you..." "They won't." He grabbed her hand, tugging her toward the back gardens where they could hide. "Come on, I want to try something." 10 minutes later, Hannah was standing in the moonlight while her baby brother circled her with intense concentration. "Maybe you're thinking too much like a human," Weston announced, like he'd discovered something profound. "Try thinking about chasing rabbits." Hannah blinked at him. Chasing rabbits. "Yes, running through the forest. Hunting." He made a pouncing motion. "Feel the wolf inside." "West, I don't want to chase rabbits." He deflated slightly. "That's probably why it's not working." Despite everything, the exhaustion, the humiliation, the ache in her bones, Hannah laughed. It came out rusty, like she'd forgotten how, but it was real. Weston beamed. "One day," he said fiercely, squeezing her hand, "one day you'll shift, and everyone will see. You're not broken, Hannah. I know you're not." She pulled him into a hug so he wouldn't see her eyes water. Let him believe. Let someone believe she could be more than this. In 3 days, the king's decree would arrive. In 3 days, her whole world would change. But tonight, she had bread and venison and a little brother who loved her. Tonight, that was enough. Chapter 2. The royal messenger arrived at dawn, his horse foam-flecked and exhausted. By noon, the entire pack had gathered in the central clearing, whispers spreading like wildfire through the crowd. The blind Alpha King. After 15 years of silence, he was calling in debts. Hannah stood at the back, hidden behind broader shoulders, and listened to the rumors crawl through the assembly like living things. "They say his eyes are completely white, dead, like milk. I heard he can still kill a man at 50 paces, smell the lie in your blood. My cousin's mate said he keeps the tributes in cages, uses them for dark magic rituals. 1 tribute from every pack in the realm. He's collecting them like prizes." Alpha Corey stood on the raised platform, the royal decree clutched in his thick hands, his face unreadable. Beside him, Zariah looked like she'd bitten into something rotten. No one wanted to go to the blind king's court. No one wanted to be the sacrifice. "The decree is clear," Corey announced, his voice carrying over the restless crowd. "King Alaric of Moonstone demands 1 tribute from each pack, a companion to aid in breaking an ancient curse." He paused, letting the weight settle. "Shadowpine will answer this call with honor." Honor. The word tasted like ash. Hannah watched the selection ceremony unfold like a nightmare in slow motion. The eligible she-wolves were called forward, unmated, between 18 and 30, capable of representing the pack. They stood in a nervous line, trying not to look terrified. Some were daughters of wealthy families, others were warriors. All of them were whole. All of them could shift. Corey walked the line slowly, considering each face. The crowd held its breath. Then his eyes found Hannah at the back, and he smiled.
Shadowpine offers our most dedicated member.
His voice dripped with false sincerity.
Hannah, step forward.
The crowd parted around her like she carried plague. Hannah's legs moved on instinct, numb and disconnected from her brain. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. But Corey's smile was very real as she reached the platform.
Our hardest worker, our most loyal servant. Who better to represent Shadowpine?
Relief rippled through the assembly. Not their daughters, not their sisters, just the wolfless girl. Just Hannah.
No!
Weston's scream cut through the murmurs. He shoved through the crowd, his small face twisted with fury and terror.
No! Take me instead! She's all I have!
2 warriors caught him before he reached the platform. He fought them, claws sprouting from his 12-year-old hands, his eyes flashing gold.
Please, please, she didn't do anything wrong! Please don't take her!
Hannah's heart shattered. She looked at her baby brother, the only person in this pack who'd ever loved her, and felt something crack inside her chest that would never heal. "West," she whispered. "It's okay." It wasn't okay. It would never be okay. But what else could she say? Corey dismissed Weston with a wave.
Take the boy home. The selection is final.
As the warriors dragged Weston away, still screaming, Hannah stood perfectly still. She'd known for years that her life would end badly. She'd just thought it would happen here, quiet and unnoticed, scrubbing floors until her body gave out. This was faster. Cleaner, in a way. At least Weston would remember her. At least someone would know she'd existed. Later, in the Alpha's chambers, Beta Gage asked the practical questions.
Should we give her travel supplies? Proper clothing?
Corey snorted.
Why? She won't need them long.
Zariah wrinkled her nose. At least give her a bath. We don't want the king thinking we send dirty tributes.
He's blind, Corey said flatly. He won't know the difference.
They laughed. Hannah, standing in the hallway just outside, heard every word. She pressed her palm against the cold stone wall and felt nothing. No anger, no fear. Just that familiar emptiness. She had 3 days before the escort arrived. 3 days to say goodbye to the only life she'd ever known. 3 days before she walked into darkness and never came back. Chapter 3. The journey to Moonstone Citadel took 3 days. Hannah spent them invisible. The royal escort collected tributes from 6 packs, and by the 2nd day, the wagon held 12 she-wolves who wouldn't look at her. They were everything Hannah wasn't. Tall, confident, beautiful. Their wolves prowled just beneath their skin, making their eyes flash gold and their movements liquid grace. They spoke about court politics and mating bonds and which of them the king might favor, as if this were a competition instead of a death sentence. Hannah sat in the corner, knees pulled to her chest, and watched the mountain roads wind higher. None of them asked her name. Moonstone Citadel appeared on the 3rd evening, rising from the cliffs like something carved from dreams and nightmares. Massive stone towers pierced the twilight sky. Silver banners snapped in the wind. The walls were so high, Hannah couldn't see their tops. This was where she would die. The throne room was darker than she'd imagined. Torches burned low in their sconces, casting more shadow than light. The other tributes were let in first, announced by name and pack, each one curtsying before the dais where the king sat perfectly still. King Alaric of Moonstone, the blind alpha. He looked carved from granite and shadow, broad shoulders draped in black and silver, dark hair falling past his jaw, a face too severe to be called handsome. But it was his eyes that made Hannah's breath catch. Milky white, completely sightless, staring at nothing. "Hannah of Shadowpine," the herald announced. She stepped forward, head bowed, waiting for dismissal, for judgment, for... The king inhaled sharply. Then he stood so fast his throne rocked backward. "Color." The word cracked through the silence like breaking glass. Hannah's head snapped up. King Alaric was moving toward her with impossible precision. No hesitation, no searching. His blind eyes locked on her face like he could see. "What are you?" he whispered, circling her slowly. The court had gone completely silent. His white eyes tracked her every movement, every breath. "What are you?" A woman in silver armor stepped forward from the shadows. "Brother, what's happening?" "I can see her, Jenna." Alaric's voice cracked on the words. He stopped in front of Hannah, close enough that she could see the scars around his eyes, old burns that had healed badly, leaving the skin twisted and pale. "Her face, her hair. It's brown. Dark brown, like mahogany." His hand lifted toward her, trembling. "I can see her eyes. There." He stopped, swallowed hard. When he spoke again, his voice was raw with something that might have been grief or joy, or both. "I'd forgotten what brown looked like." Hannah couldn't breathe. This wasn't possible. She was nobody. Nothing. How could she? "This is dark magic." A man in commander's armor drew his sword, the blade ringing in the stunned silence. "She's cursed him further." "Put the sword down, Noel." Alaric didn't look away from Hannah. Couldn't, apparently. "But sire, I'm looking at color for the first time in 15 years. Now Alaric did glance at his commander, and even with those dead white eyes, his expression was fierce. "If you ruin this, I will throw you in the dungeons myself." Noel lowered his sword slowly. Alaric turned back to Hannah. His hand was still raised, hovering near her cheek but not touching. "I've been blind for 15 years. Cursed. I learned to rule in darkness, learned to live without sight." His voice dropped to something almost reverent. "And now you're here. And when I look at you, I can see." "I don't understand," Hannah whispered. Her voice sounded small and broken in the vast throne room. "I'm nobody. I'm wolfless. I'm..." "You're the only thing in this world I can see." The weight of his stare, truly seeing her, drinking in every detail, made her feel exposed in a way she'd never experienced. All her life she'd been invisible. Now the most powerful alpha in the realm was looking at her like she hung the moon. Princess Jenna approached carefully. "Can you see anything else?" Alaric glanced toward his sister's voice. His face fell. "No, just darkness. But when I look at her..." He focused on Hannah again, and something like wonder crossed his severe features.
Everything. I can see everything about her.
Hannah's legs shook. This was impossible. This was insane. She'd come here to die quietly, another forgotten sacrifice to a cursed king. She hadn't come here to be seen. She didn't know how to be seen.
Take her to the guest chambers, Alaric commanded, though his eyes never left Hannah's face. The ones near mine. I want...
He stopped. Started again.
I need to understand this.
As guards led her away, Hannah looked back once. The king stood in his throne room, surrounded by luxury and power, staring after her with blind white eyes that somehow saw her better than anyone ever had. And Hannah realized her death sentence had just become something far more dangerous. Something like destiny. Chapter 4. They discovered the limits of the miracle within an hour. Hannah had been shown to chambers 3 doors down from the king's suite, a room larger than the entire space she'd shared with Weston back home. She'd barely touched the silk bedding when a knock came, urgent and sharp. Commander Noel stood in the doorway, his expression grim.
He needs you.
What?
He went blind again, the moment you left the throne room.
Hannah's stomach dropped. She followed Noel through corridors she'd never find again on her own, until they reached a study where King Alaric stood gripping the edge of a massive desk, his knuckles white. The moment she entered, he exhaled.
There you are.
His blind eyes found her instantly, and she watched relief flood his severe features.
I thought, when the darkness came back, I thought I'd imagined you.
I'm real, Hannah whispered.
Yes.
He straightened, something vulnerable flickering across his face.
You are. And when you're gone, so is everything else.
So Hannah stayed. The days that followed developed a strange rhythm. She took meals in Alaric's study, walked the Citadel gardens at his side, sat in the corner of council meetings while he ruled his kingdom with those white eyes that saw only her. The court whispered. The other tributes were sent home with gold and apologies, and Hannah learned what it meant to matter. Tell me about the curse, she said one evening. They were in his private library, surrounded by books he couldn't read anymore. Please. Alaric was quiet for a long moment, his fingers tracing the spine of a volume he'd probably memorized.
15 years ago, I refused a political marriage. The woman's father wanted to merge our territories. She wanted a crown.
His jaw tightened.
Marceline didn't take the rejection well. She hired a dark magic practitioner, someone powerful enough to curse an alpha king.
What did they do to you?
Stole my sight. Robbed me of the ability to see my people, my kingdom, my own face in a mirror.
He turned toward her, those dead white eyes finding hers with eerie precision.
They expected me to fail, to crumble, to prove I was weak without my vision.
But you didn't.
No.
A ghost of a smile.
15 years of darkness, Hannah. I learned to rule by scent and sound. I memorized every step of this citadel. I can tell when someone lies by their heartbeat. Identify my advisors by the way they breathe.
He paused.
But I never thought I'd see again.
Hannah's chest ached. And now?
Now you're here.
He crossed the space between them slowly, like he was afraid she might disappear.
And when you smile...
His voice dropped, rough and wondering.
When you smile, the whole room lights up. At least for me.
She didn't know what to say. All her life she'd been nothing, invisible. The girl people forgot was in the room. but Alaric looked at her like she was the sun after an endless winter, and it was intoxicating and terrifying all at once. "I don't understand why," she managed. "Why me? I'm nobody. I can't even shift.
You're everything I can see."
He said it simply, like it was the most obvious truth in the world.
That makes you everything.
The door burst open.
So the council wants to know if we should send the other tributes home or... Oh.
Princess Jenna stopped mid-stride, taking in the scene. Her brother and Hannah standing close enough to breathe the same air, dinner growing cold on the table behind them, clearly lost in conversation. "Am I interrupting?" Jenna asked, though her tone suggested she knew exactly what she was interrupting.
"Yes,"
Alaric said without looking away from Hannah. "Good." Jenna leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "Continue. I'll just stand here and chaperone because apparently my brother has forgotten every rule of propriety."
"I'm the king. I make the rules."
"And I'm your sister. I enforce them." But Jenna was smiling, something soft in her expression. "The council can wait. But Alaric, whatever this is," she gestured between them, "figure it out quickly, because the whole citadel is talking, and half of them think she's blessed by the moon goddess, while the other half thinks she's a witch." After Jenna left, Alaric sighed.
"She's not wrong. We need to understand this. Why you? Why now?"
Hannah looked at the king who could see only her and felt something shift in her chest. For the first time in her life, she didn't want to be invisible. She wanted to be seen, especially by him. Chapter 5. The ancient texts arrived from the royal archives 3 days later, carried by scholars who looked like they hadn't slept. Hannah sat in the corner of Alaric's study while they spread yellowed parchments across every surface, their fingers tracing words written centuries ago. "Here," the head scholar breathed. "The original curse documentation." Alaric couldn't read it, so the scholar read aloud. "Only one who sees without eyes and loves without sight may break the binding." The room fell silent. "A riddle," Jenna said finally. "Of course it's a riddle." The court seers arrived by evening, 3 ancient women who smelled of sage and moonlight. They circled Hannah slowly, their eyes cataloging every detail. "She has no wolf," the eldest said. "No predatory instincts clouding her vision." "She sees with her soul," another added. "Not with the hunger that drives our kind." The third seer touched Hannah's face gently. "She sees without eyes, without the eyes of a wolf. And perhaps, child, you might love without sight, without seeing what others see. Power, status, strength. You see deeper." Hannah's heart hammered. "I don't understand." "You don't need to. Not yet." The seer smiled. "But you're the key. We're certain of it." After they left, Alaric stood at the window, his blind eyes seeing nothing but darkness beyond Hannah's form. "Does it frighten you, being the key to breaking this?" "Everything about this frightens me," Hannah admitted. He turned and his expression was soft. "Would you walk with me? There's something I want to share." The Moonstone Gardens were breathtaking under the full moon. Silver roses climbed trellises that reached toward the stars. Moonflowers bloomed white and luminous, their petals like captured starlight. Water trickled through carved fountains, and the air smelled of jasmine and something sweeter Hannah couldn't name. I used to come here before the curse, Alaric said, walking the paths like he'd memorized every stone.
It was my mother's favorite place. She died when Jenna was born, but I used to feel close to her here.
It's beautiful, Hannah whispered. I can't see the flowers anymore when you're not near. He stopped beside a fountain, his fingers trailing over carved stone.
But I can smell them. Tell me what they look like.
So Hannah described them. The moonflowers with their trumpet-shaped blooms, the silver roses that seemed to glow from within, the delicate star jasmine weaving through it all like lace. She described the way moonlight caught on water droplets, the shadows the flowers cast, the way everything seemed alive and magical. Alaric listened like she was reciting poetry.
You see beauty where others see weeds, he said quietly. That's your gift, Hannah. You don't need a wolf to be extraordinary.
Her breath caught. No one had ever called her extraordinary. No one had ever suggested she was anything but broken. What if I'm just useful? The words tumbled out before she could stop them. What if you only see me because of the curse? What if, when it breaks, I'm invisible again? Alaric turned to face her fully, his white eyes finding hers with that eerie precision.
Is that what you think? That I treasure you because you're useful?
I don't know what to think. He stepped closer, close enough that she could see the flecks of gray in his dark hair, the exact pattern of scars around his eyes.
Hannah, I've ruled a kingdom blind for 15 years. I've had advisors, warriors, servants, all of them useful. But I don't look at them the way I look at you.
You can't look at them at all, she said, trying for humor, but hearing how her voice shook.
Exactly.
His hand lifted to her face, fingers ghosting over her cheek.
When I look at you, I see kindness in every expression. I see someone who notices beauty in moonflowers. I see someone who describes the world like it's precious.
His thumb brushed her jaw.
That's not the curse. That's you.
Hannah's walls crumbled. She was falling. Had been falling since he first gasped color. And she was terrified and exhilarated all at once. I'm falling in love with you, she whispered. And I don't know if I'm allowed to.
You're allowed anything you want.
His voice was rough.
And if you want me, Hannah, I'm yours.
The next morning, Noelle found them training in the courtyard. Or trying to. Alaric kept missing blocks, his attention clearly elsewhere.
Your Majesty, you're distracted.
I'm focused, Alaric said, though his blind eyes kept drifting toward where Hannah sat watching.
You just tried to block an attack from the wrong direction. Did I?
Noelle lowered his practice sword with a sigh.
She's made you soft.
Alaric grinned. Actually grinned.
She's made me able to see, Noelle. I'll take soft.
Chapter 6. The revelation came from the oldest book in the Citadel's library. So ancient, the pages threatened to crumble at a touch. Persephone, the head seer, had been researching for days, muttering to herself in languages Hannah didn't recognize. Now she stood before Hannah with eyes that had seen centuries, her weathered hands trembling as she held the book. I need to see your palm, Persephone said. Hannah extended her hand. The seer traced the lines there, then gasped. Moon's mercy. I was right. Persephone looked up, and there were tears on her ancient face. Child, do you know what you are? Wolfless, Hannah said automatically. Broken. No. Persephone's voice was fierce. You are the rarest of gifts. Your ancestors walked between worlds, healing what dark magic broke. They were called curse breakers, humans blessed by the moon goddess herself. The study went silent. Alaric, who'd been pacing near the window, froze. That's impossible, Hannah whispered. I'm nobody. I can't even shift. You don't shift because you are something older, something purer. Persephone guided Hannah to a chair, her touch gentle. The curse breakers were hunted to extinction 3 centuries ago. Powerful wolves feared them, feared humans who could undo their magic, who could see through their deceptions. Your bloodline was supposed to be dead. Hannah's mind reeled. But I don't have any power. I can't do anything. You're immune to dark magic. It slides off you like water off stone. Persephone turned to Alaric. The curse clings to your wolf sight, Your Majesty. It deceives the predator's eyes, makes them see only darkness. But she, the seer gestured to Hannah, she has no wolf for it to deceive. When you look at her, you see with your human soul. True sight. That's why I can see her, Alaric breathed. The curse can't touch what she is. More than that. Persephone's expression turned grave. She doesn't just resist curses. She breaks them, absorbs them, neutralizes dark magic like light burns away shadow. That's what her ancestors did. They healed what was broken, freed what was bound. Hannah's hands shook. 23 years. 23 years of being called defective, broken, worthless. And all along, she'd been something rare, something powerful. Why didn't anyone know? Her voice cracked. Why did everyone treat me like I was nothing? Because they didn't understand. Because the knowledge of curse breakers was lost to time. Persephone squeezed her shoulder. They feared what they couldn't explain. It's easier to call something broken than to admit you don't understand it. The weight of every insult, every rejection, every moment of being invisible crashed over Hannah. She wasn't weak. She'd never been weak. Shadowpine had thrown away something precious because they were too ignorant to recognize it. Can she break my curse? Alaric's voice was careful, like he was afraid to hope. I believe so, but it will require... The door burst open. Jenna strode in, took one look at everyone's faces, and sighed. What did I miss? Hannah is descended from an ancient bloodline of curse breakers, Persephone said. She's the key to freeing your brother. Jenna blinked. So you're telling me my brother fell for the one person in the realm who could save him? How convenient. The goddess works in... Persephone began. Don't say mysterious ways. I swear, if you say mysterious ways... Is someone talking about Hannah? Alaric appeared in the doorway, his blind eyes immediately finding her across the room. Jenna threw up her hands. You're hopeless. Yes, your point? Despite everything, the revelation, the confusion, the complete reshaping of her understanding of herself, Hannah laughed. It bubbled out of her, bright and surprised.
Alaric's expression softened. There it is. That's the sound I've been waiting for. He crossed to her, sinking into the chair beside hers. His hand found hers with unerring accuracy. Are you all right? I don't know. Hannah stared at their joined hands. I spent my whole life believing I was broken. And now you know the truth. His thumb traced circles on her palm. You were never broken, Hannah. You were exactly what you were meant to be. A curse breaker. My curse breaker. His voice dropped low enough that only she could hear. If you'll have me. Persephone cleared her throat. There's more you need to know. The breaking of the curse, it won't be simple. It will require a sacrifice. Hannah's heart stuttered. What kind of sacrifice? The seer's expression turned grave. That, child, I'm still trying to determine. But old magic always demands a price. Always.
Chapter 7. They came at dawn, when the mist still clung to the citadel walls. Hannah was in the gardens with Alaric when the horn sounded. 3 sharp blasts that sent birds scattering into the pale sky. Alaric's head snapped up, his blind eyes going hard. Armed company at the gates, he said. Noel, report. Commander Noel appeared within moments, his face grim. A contingent of 30 warriors under the banner of the Ironwood Pack. They're demanding an audience. Ironwood. Alaric's jaw tightened. Marceline's father. The name sent ice through Hannah's veins. The woman who'd cursed him. Should we deny them entry? Noel asked. No. If she's come all this way, she wants something. Better to face it now. Alaric's hand found Hannah's. Stay close to me. The throne room was packed with Moonstone warriors by the time Marceline swept through the doors. She was beautiful in the way a blade was beautiful. All sharp edges and cold perfection. Raven black hair, ice blue eyes, movements like a predator circling prey. Alaric. Her voice was honey over steel. Still sitting in the dark, I see. How fitting. Marceline. Alaric's tone gave nothing away. It's been 15 years. To what do I owe this pleasure? I heard a rumor. Her eyes found Hannah, and her smile turned cruel. That the blind king found his little healer. How sweet. Hannah felt Alaric's hand tighten on hers. She's quite plain, isn't she? Marceline circled closer. But I suppose beggars can't be choosers. Tell me, did my father's little tribute actually think she could break my curse? Your curse? Jenna stepped forward, hand on her sword. So you admit it? Of course I admit it. I paid good gold for that spell. Marceline's laugh was cutting. When Alaric chose his precious honor over our marriage, over the alliance that would have made him the most powerful king in the realm, I decided to teach him a lesson about power. You tried to destroy my kingdom, Alaric said quietly. I expected you to fail, to prove that a blind king couldn't lead. And when you inevitably fell, my father would have stepped in to save your poor, leaderless people. She shrugged. Unfortunately, you're more stubborn than I anticipated. Why are you here, Marceline? To protect my investment. Her eyes locked on Hannah. Did he tell you the rest of the curse, little healer? Did he mention that when it breaks, The magic backlash will kill whoever breaks it? Hannah's blood turned to ice. She'll die saving you, Marceline continued, each word a blade. The curse is designed to take a life for a life. Break the binding, pay the price. So tell me, Alaric, is she willing to die for you? Alaric's face had gone white. Hannah turned to look at him and saw raw anguish in those blind eyes. You knew, she whispered. You knew, and you didn't tell me.
I've been researching, looking for another way. I would never. His voice cracked. I would rather stay blind forever than lose you.
The truth of it hit her like a physical blow. He loved her. Truly loved her. Not because she was useful, not because she could save him. He was willing to stay cursed to keep her safe. How touching, Marceline sneered. But it doesn't matter. She's a curse breaker. Her very existence is a threat to the spell. So I'm giving you a choice, Alaric. Hand her over, and I'll make her death quick. Or refuse, and I'll kill her slowly while you listen. Warriors moved into position. Moonstone on one side, Ironwood on the other. The air crackled with violence about to break. Noel cleared his throat.
So, are we fighting now, or is there more dramatic revelation time?
Marceline whirled on him. Silence you!
Because if we're fighting, I need to stretch.
Noel rotated his shoulder experimentally.
I pulled something yesterday, and I'm not as young as I used to be.
Despite the terror flooding her veins, Hannah almost laughed. Almost. Alaric stood, and his alpha power rolled through the throne room like thunder.
You will not touch her. You'll have to kill me first.
That, Marceline purred, can be arranged. Chapter 8. The second delegation arrived before Marceline's warriors had even left the throne room. Hannah heard the commotion first. Raised voices at the citadel entrance, the clash of steel on steel as guards tried to hold the line. Then a voice she knew too well bellowed through the halls.
I'm here for what belongs to Shadowpine.
Alpha Cori. Hannah's stomach dropped. Alaric's hand found hers instantly, his blind eyes sharp with fury.
How many? He asked Noel.
20 warriors, Shadowpine colors. Noel's expression was grim. Should we turn them away?
No.
Alaric's voice was ice.
Let him come. I want to hear what he has to say.
Cori swaggered into the throne room like he owned it, Zariah at his side, Beta Gage behind them. His eyes found Hannah, and he smiled. That same cruel smile from the selection ceremony.
There's my little tribute, he said. Time to come home, girl. She's not going anywhere with you, Alaric said quietly. With all due respect, King Alaric.
Cori's tone suggested no respect at all.
She belongs to Shadowpine. We sent her as tribute, but now I'm hearing interesting rumors. That she's the key to breaking your curse. That she's some kind of rare bloodline. She's a person, not a key. She's pack property.
Cori's smile widened.
Wolfless, worthless except as a tool. And we're taking our tool back. Think about it, King. If she breaks your curse in Shadowpine territory, my pack gets the credit, the leverage. We could negotiate very favorable terms.
Hannah felt sick. Of course Cori had come. The moment she became valuable, he wanted to own her again.
She belongs to no one but herself. Alaric stood, and his alpha power flooded the room like a physical force. And if you take one step toward her, I'll kill you where you stand. Corey laughed, actually laughed. You're blind, King. How exactly will you? He didn't get to finish. Alaric shifted partially, not fully into his wolf, but enough. Enough that his canines lengthened, his eyes blazed gold beneath the white blindness. His power crashed through the courtyard like thunder. I don't need to see you to destroy you. The challenge was issued in the courtyard at noon. Traditional, witnessed, binding. Hannah stood between Jenna and Noelle, her heart in her throat, watching Alaric face down an alpha who could see every move coming, while he saw nothing but darkness. This is madness, she whispered. He can't. He can, Jenna said quietly. Watch. Corey attacked first, fast and brutal. But Alaric moved like water, dodging by scent and sound alone. He caught Corey's arm mid-strike, twisted, and sent him sprawling. I've fought blind for 15 years, Alaric said. Do you really think you're the first to underestimate me? The fight was savage. Corey was strong, vicious, fighting without honor. He landed blows that made Hannah flinch, strikes Alaric couldn't see coming, attacks from blind spots. Blood ran from a cut above Alaric's eye. His lips split. His knuckles cracked, but he didn't stop. He fought with the fury of a king protecting what was his. Except Hannah wasn't his. She was her own. And he was fighting for her right to choose, her right to be free, her right to matter. When Alaric finally pinned Corey to the ground, one hand around his throat, the courtyard fell silent. She's not your property, Alaric growled. She's not your tool. She's not going back to a pack that treated her like garbage. If you ever come near her again, I will end you. Are we clear? Corey wheezed agreement. Alaric released him and stood, swaying slightly. Shadowpine warriors dragged their alpha away. The courtyard erupted in cheers for their king. Hannah ran to Alaric as his legs gave out. Later in his chambers, while healers stitched cuts and wrapped bruised ribs, Jenna stood with her arms crossed. You know, there are diplomatic solutions. Alaric, bloodied and exhausted, glared in her general direction. Name one. I can't think of any right now, but I'm sure they exist. Noelle handed Alaric a cup of water. That was actually impressive, sire, for a blind man. I'm going to demote you. You can't. I'm too valuable. Watch me. But Alaric was smiling, barely through the split lip, as his blind eyes found Hannah across the room. She was crying, she realized. Silent tears streaming down her face. Worth it, Alaric said softly. All of it. Worth it. And Hannah knew, with crushing certainty, that she would do anything to save this man, even if it killed her.
Chapter 9. Hannah made her choice in the darkness before dawn. Alaric was asleep, finally, after the healers had given him something for the pain. Hannah slipped from his chambers and found Marceline's camp beyond the citadel walls, her heart steady despite the fear. The warriors surrounded her instantly, but Marceline waved them back. The little healer comes crawling. How delightful. I'll make you a deal, Hannah said. Leave Alaric alone. Leave Moonstone alone. I'll break the curse myself, and whatever happens to me, That's on me. Marceline's laugh was sharp. You think you can survive it? The backlash will tear you apart. Maybe. Hannah lifted her chin. But I'm a curse breaker. My blood was made for this. And I'd rather die trying than let you control either of us anymore. Something flickered in Marceline's eyes. Respect, maybe. Or just curiosity. Very well. Break it if you can. I want to watch you burn. Hannah walked back to the citadel as the sun rose, her hands steady. She found Aloric in the throne room, Jenna and Noelle arguing about defensive positions. They all turned when she entered. Hannah, Aloric started. I'm breaking the curse. Today. Now. Her voice didn't shake. And you're not going to stop me. Hannah, if you die, then I die choosing you, choosing myself, choosing to be brave for the first time in my life. She crossed to him, took his scarred face in her hands. I see you, Aloric. I see you with more than eyes. I see your heart. I see how you've ruled blind for 15 years, with more honor than most kings manage with perfect sight. I see how you fought for me, how you value me. Hannah, I choose you. I choose this. She pressed her palms over his blind eyes and reached for the curse with everything she was. The magic resisted at first, ancient, angry, designed to bind and blind and break. But Hannah was made to break curses. Her blood sang with it, her soul blazed with purpose. The curse magic flooded into her like fire, like drowning, like being torn apart from the inside. She screamed, but she didn't let go. She absorbed it, neutralized it, pulled it into herself until there was nothing left. The curse shattered like glass. Aloric gasped, a sharp, shocked sound. His hands flew to Hannah's wrists. I can see, he breathed. Not just you. Everything. I can see. His eyes weren't white anymore. They were hazel, bright and clear, seeing the world for the first time in 15 years. He stared at his hands, at the throne room, at the sunlight streaming through the windows. Then he looked at Hannah. Really looked. You're alive, he whispered. Tears tracked down his face. You broke it. And you're alive. Told you, she managed, swaying. Curse breaker. I was designed for this. Aloric pulled her into a kiss that tasted like tears and triumph, like 15 years of darkness ending in blazing light. When he finally pulled back, his eyes, his beautiful, seeing eyes, were full of wonder. I can see you. I can see everything. But you're still the most beautiful thing in this world. Outside, Marceline's scream of fury echoed across the citadel. The curse magic backlash obliterated her dark power permanently. When the Moonstone warriors found her, she was just a woman. No magic, no threat, just bitter and broken. Corey was banished from Moonstone territory that afternoon, his alliance stripped, his pack humiliated. The official decree made it clear. Anyone who abused pack members would find no welcome in Aloric's kingdom. But the best moment came 3 days later when Weston arrived, wide-eyed and scared, clutching a small bag. Hannah? His voice cracked. They said you're a queen now? Hannah ran to him, pulled him into her arms. I'm your sister. That's what matters. You're staying here, West, with me, forever. The mating ceremony was held under the full moon. Jinna performed the rites, her smile bright as she bound Hannah and Aloric's hands with silver cord. By the moon goddess and the ancient laws, I declare you mates, king and queen of Moonstone. The coronation feast was magnificent. Hannah wore silver and moonstone, her hair woven with star jasmine. Aloric couldn't stop staring at her. Jinna raised her cup. To my brother, who regained his sight and immediately used it to make hard eyes at his mate. Noel grinned. To our queen, who broke an ancient curse and is somehow still putting up with us. Hannah laughed, the sound bright and free. I went from invisible to unforgettable in 3 weeks. I'm still adjusting. Aloric pulled her close, his eyes, those seeing, beautiful eyes, locked on her face. Get used to being seen, my queen. I didn't. Not for the rest of their lives.